Hey, hi guys, welcome to Cafe IO. Cafe IO में आपका स्वागत है. This is a video about generative AI. It's also a video about cloud computing. However, we are going to merge both of them and see how generative AI and LLM conversation has expanded and found its way into different technology enablers. Something like a cloud platform, be it Google, Microsoft, AWS, or different technology companies like IBM, Watson, Snowflake, and Databricks. We will look at different services that you can try and explore across these cloud providers and see what are the common denominators that we have across each of them and maybe look at some distinctions as well. Let's get started. Now, the image that you see will probably come to this in a while. I just like this image. So I'll want to start with AWS because I attended an AWS event yesterday, 2 days back. And there's quite a lot of buzz in AWS about generative AI. So what they have done is they've given a great demo and they have built something like an AI stylus. And you can use it to leverage and understand the kind of use cases generative AI can throw. And, it's basically an outfit designer for you. Let's not go in that, but let's talk about what is Bedrock. So Bedrock on Amazon is a completely managed, fully managed service, which offers you a choice of bringing in foundational models from different providers like, Anthropic, Meta, Stability AI, and Amazon has also released their own LLM called Titan, and there's a couple of variants of Titan, and they're providing you all the necessary tool sets like building RAG architectures, doing fine tuning, labeling of your data, connecting to different data sources, designing workflows, so on and so forth. So it's an interesting capability and very quickly introduced, quite easy to use as well. And they have built a lot of tooling around this, like Amazon Q and all of that is also supported with Bedrock. So you have almost everything that you need to build generative applications. Now, this is not just limited to text. You can do image, you can do audio, you can do video, and all of them can be plugged with some sort of generative AI use case. So you have wide variety of model choices. The only thing which you will not see is OpenAI because, and that's predominantly because it's kind of exclusive with Microsoft, some sort of partnership, and that's why probably they are a little, behind. I wouldn't call them behind, but late to join the game. Microsoft really started these conversations in this space. Now, as everyone else, they are promising security, privacy, and safety. And why this is the topmost feature than everything else that's being sold is because most people have an inhibition, and that could be true as well, that your own data will be used to improve the quality of these LLMs. So that's a line which you will clearly see being called out in big and bold everywhere. So security, privacy, again, their choice of models, Titan, Claude, Stable Diffusion, Llama from Meta, and tons of different options available. And as I was saying, you could do text generation, you could do virtual assistants, which is like Copilot. Copilots are everywhere. Text and image search, summarization, and image generation. There's a lot of customers that are leveraging it. I'm not going to go in that, but it really has a low barrier to entry. So you can just click and do a little bit of hands-on demos, and they have really published nice demos. I would say they're more like hands-on workshops than demos. All right, so that's Amazon Bedrock for you. Pretty much an interesting service for you to try out. Generative AI on machine learning, I like the look and feel. And what they are doing is there's a couple of more options available. Naturally, you see probably a larger selection of models like OpenAI models. You have Databricks Dolly, you have GPT models, you have Google models, you have Facebook models, you have traditional birds. So tons of different kind of models are available. Not almost all of the ones that are popular, but some of the lesser popular ones as well. And I think they're bringing some of them from the Hugging Face landscape as well. Now, on top of it, you can have a completely dedicated private setup for your OpenAI service. So Azure will kind of give an OpenAI instance specific for you. You obviously have MLOps, responsible AI, and AI infrastructure, which is also part of every cloud provider, but Azure is just nicely calling it out. The second thing which they have is an interesting capability, which is prompt flow. I think this is also built into Bedrock, but I have not tried it. However, here you can just do a little bit of prompt fine tuning from the UI itself. It will show you some sort of DAG and you can control it visually. And that's an interesting capability. And they are trying to address the whole workflow part of it. So this is a very well thought of capability. There's open source framework around, so you can bring LangChain or different framework like semantic kernel to do map prompt management easily. Obviously, it's backed by the infrastructure. Safety, as I was saying, is really, really paramount. So you have a lot of control over security and fine-grained security. And they have also baked in, or at least are selling the model monitoring part, which is a word called LLM ops, which is kind of picking up in these days. So very interesting to see what they have, and some of these features I've tried myself, and it's quite nice. Let's move over to Google. And as everyone else, I think what Google is doing is bringing their own version of the model. So they recently introduced Gemini. So they are really pushing Gemini to the forefront. And then everything else is pretty much same. You have, tool chains like Vertex AI, which can, build applications using generative AI on top of their existing tooling sets, so you can access their data in BigQuery and stuff like that. There's a couple of other services like Do It AI, and Do It AI can be also part of Google Workspace. So these are more collaborative features. Think of them as co-pilots, and co-pilots come in variety of names and shapes. But this specifically is something like a coding copilot, and then in workspace you can have different ways, like you can do drafts in Google Docs, you can have it scan your emails, you can do slides and stuff like that. So a lot of personalization and productivity boosting use cases are coming out. Now these are the top three cloud providers. I want to hop on and see what some players have. So for if you look at Snowflake, which is really a the core platform that has emerged in the past 4 5 years for data management and data engineering. So it's essentially the data cloud that's being pitched. Now, what they have done is they are also now doing, they are making headway into the LLM space and doing quite a lot of things. So you can see them very clearly calling out Snowflake for AI and ML, and the subheading is largely to deploy LLMs and ML models. So they have two elements around it. One is called a Cortex, which is a serverless and ready to use AI, which is behind the scenes powered by ML models and LLMs. They also have something called as a container platform, which is Snowpark, where you can do a lot of RAG fine tuning, prompt tuning, and stuff like that. So that's there. And then along with it, they also provide you, interesting capabilities where you can prototype stuff using Streamlit. So it's very quickly maturing as a whole ecosystem. And I think I would want to put my bets here because, if you have the data already sitting in a place, the rest of the things can be very easily plugged on top of it, which I think Snowflake is very nicely venturing into. I want to then hop on to IBM Cloud. I've actually used IBM Cloud in my professional experience, but I've stumbled upon it one a few times. And Watson is a service which I've been hearing for quite a number of years. I think IBM have been doing this and has been on the forefront of AI for quite a long time from a traditional R&D perspective. Now I stumbled upon Watson X, where they are clearly not writing out here as generative AI, but if you go the core components clearly says the core components include a studio for new foundation models, generative AI, and machine learning. So the ordering of things, even in the core website landing pages, have changed. It's LLMs, generative AI, and machine learning. We started with machine learning, AI, and then others, but generative AI is kind of putting things in the forefront. And then the Watson X AI is also taking it further. So you have, if you zoom in here, you can experiment with foundation models and build prompts. You can build machine learning models automatically, prepare and visualize data. Very similar to what most other people are offering. However, I'm pretty sure the experiences would differ. Now, last I want to hop on to a company which is something which I have always loved. So Databricks is is a truly AI company. I think they have a data platform, which is the lake part of it, and they have Databricks running on top of traditional Spark. And then they have brought in a lot of I would say open source elements as well, which are still evolving with time, but there's a lot of use cases that you can do. So there's AI governance, warehousing, ETL, data sharing, and orchestration. Sometime back, they made a purchase and they acquired a company called MosaicML. And MosaicML, if you see, is all about generative AI. So what Databricks has done is instead of building its own core capability, they have made an acquisition, and this has helped them accelerate quite a bit into generative AI solutions. So on the website, if you go and see the Databricks platform, Mosaic AI is called separately, and they are slowly integrating that within their ecosystem. So they are also, venturing very quickly into generative AI, and they have quite a lot of accelerators around generative AI. For example, if you search for Databricks and generative AI, you would end up, with trainings, with large language models, with how to do fine tuning and stuff like that. Now, Databricks' point of view is, I feel, slightly different here. What they are trying to do is they're trying to bring themselves as a platform for building apps for generative AI instead of bringing some external model and model library. I'm sure that might come up in the future, or maybe that's something which already exists, which I'm not aware of. But right now, if you see the use cases, the traditional use cases, they are all available on Databricks in some form or the other, and essentially you can run just code them through in your notebook. So that's I would say Databricks point of view right now. You can obviously bring some libraries like LangChain and all, which are under active development. So if you see, these are called as experimental features. So one thing which is one common denominator which I felt across all cloud providers is that most of these capabilities, or at least a good chunk of these capabilities, are either in public preview or private preview or early experimentation. They are bringing them for generative AI, like GA, general availability. Sorry, not generative AI. And I think that will line up nicely with enterprises finally defining their generative AI strategy and trying to allocate dollars for it. And that sort of shift you should see coming up in 2024, 25, and 26. And by that time period, most of these platforms would have matured, have had few cycles of early experimentation, and you would have interesting some toolings along the thing. Also, the cost of generative AI should decrease. Right now, it's really costly because doing models, fine tuning models, that's a costly exercise from an infrastructure perspective, and also there's no significant knowledge gap. So all of that should uh, eventually and progressively reduce, and the barrier to entry would also reduce. So yeah, that's my take, or a collection and an end of year conversation on generative AI. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.